friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Aireonna. Today I am joined by my cat because Rohan we had a miscommunication, so he wasn't able to join me today, and my cat is leaving now. That's how much my cat loves me. Um, but I thought I would come on and give some injury updates from Saturday's walkthrough practice. Now, yesterday was the last real full go practice, but since their game isn't on Sunday, it's on Monday. They had a meet up today, and Kyle Shanahan gave some important updates. Most important, in my opinion, is that Eric Armstead is out. And luckily, yesterday on my live stream, I kind of questioned whether or not it was his knee that was bothering him the most or the foot injury, because he was kind of dealing with both a knee and a foot injury um, all year round. And I was saying that I actually hoped that it was kind of a knee swelling issue, because Kyle Shanahan had already said about 2 weeks ago that it wasn't an ACL or an MCL tear in his knee. So I was hoping that it was kind of just swelling, since he's such a big guy holding him off. My cat is now staring at the door because I forced him to come and sit on my lap. He was here for 2 seconds and then jumped off my lap and now was just sitting there so confused on why he has to be in my room. Um, anyways, unfortunately for all of us, it is an injury to Eric Armstead's foot that is holding him out, not the swelling in the knee. And it is that same injury that was bothering him last year, the plantar fasciitis. And for me, the reason that that's so concerning is because those injuries linger. It is the same thing he was dealing with last year, and it kept him out for I think 6 games last year, 8 games last year, 6 in a row at least last year. So he's already missed 2 games. This is going to be his third game missed. To be completely honest, if you guys, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion, but I would probably just sit him completely until the playoffs, because you want to be completely off of that foot. He's a huge guy, and he's gonna be needing to like plant and dig his feet into the ground, activating all of his muscles around his knee. I bet his knee is messed up because of that foot. I would have loved for someone to ask if the knee injury is on the same injury that foot, because it could be like compensating. That's the next joint. If you think about like from your ankle to your knee, the next joint that's going to be taking the brunt of that pressure, if when he's trying to plant, he's trying to kind of like take it easy on that foot, he could be putting more stress on that knee, which if you're like pushed into a guy, or maybe not bracing properly, and that knee moves in or out, it could cause a strain to that knee. But unfortunately, I mean, I am really glad that a reporter asked, because I did bring it up yesterday on my live stream that I would love to know if it was that plantar fasciitis. So I'm really glad that someone asked. Unfortunately, Kyle Shanahan did confirm that it is the plantar fasciitis that is keeping him out. Now, Javon Kinlaw has started in replacement for Eric Armstead, and he will probably continue to be his replacement. He's done fairly well. He got a sack and a half last game. He kind of made a joke on the Eric Armstead podcast that he went on earlier this week, and he said that he should have had 2 full sacks, and that Nick Bosa took away half of his sack, just making a joke. But he's done okay. My main problem is both him and Gibbons really struggle against the run, and the Ravens are the number one rushing offense in the league. So that's definitely going to be problematic. They have to contain Lamar Jackson. Now they are missing, is it Keaton? Yeah, Keaton Mitchell. Is that how you say it? They are missing their main running back, but even when he was healthy, their top rusher was Lamar Jackson. So stopping him is definitely going to be an issue. I do think Kyle Shanahan gave a little bit of insight. He definitely praised Lamar Jackson for his accuracy within the pocket and like his decisiveness. I think it was Chris Forrester as well, or maybe it was Steve Wilkes, kind of said that compared to Jalen Hurts, a reporter asked, I think it was Steve Wilkes, to compare Lamar Jackson's play style to the previous running quarterbacks he had. I personally think that potentially Kyler Murray is maybe a better passer, but I definitely think Lamar Jackson is a better passer than Jalen Hurts. And I know that their strategy against Jalen Hurts was to really corral him and like make him throw down the field. Nick Bosa kind of said that when he was forced to, when Jalen Hurts is forced to not run, that he gets very startled and is prone to making more erratic decisions. I don't think Lamar Jackson is at that level. I do think he has a much better passing ability than people give him credit for. Now they're also out Mark Andrews, who is his number one offensive weapon. If I was going to do a bet, I would bet that their backup tight end that's been playing fairly well for them in replace of Mark Andrews, I would bet that he goes off. Against Arizona, the 49ers let their backup tight end go off against them. So I do think that he'll get some production. Zay Flowers is their number one running back, but Lamar Jackson seems to have better chemistry with the tight ends. Additionally, for 49ers updates, Juwan Jennings is out. Now, I when I was live streaming yesterday, I said that Juwan Jennings was going to have to be out because if you guys remember when Brock Purdy was in the concussion protocol, I went over the steps for the protocol, but the last two steps, so step 4 is basically a full go. So what they have you do is they start off just with like minimal aerobic ability, and then they have like a cardio based ability, and then they have more of like a full blown football activity, and they're testing how your body and your brain is responding, and how you're like basically if you're getting any sort of anxiety within your body that could swell your brain to each step. And so in my opinion, Juwan Jennings probably has to be within the second to the third. He's probably even the second, because I think reporters, even if he was working to the side, they always make sure to kind of note when a player is out there. And Juwan Jennings was not noted as out there at all this week. So he must still be in the second position, which would mean he's like doing aerobic activity and not no football activity. But yesterday was their last full grown practice day. And in order to pass the concussion protocol, you have to attempt like a full blown practice. So when he was not participating yesterday, I assumed that he would be out because I didn't know how they would like mimic a practice, because the last two steps are full blown practice and then getting cleared by an independent arbitrator type of person, to make sure that the team isn't like passing anyone through that shouldn't be through. But they're definitely not doing that with Juwan Jennings because he is out. Oh, I forgot that I didn't even post the link. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. My bad, guys. If you guys want to call in, go ahead. Like I said, originally I was supposed to do the show with Rohan, but we had a bit of a mix-up. Potentially we'll do a show on Monday night after the game. If not, I'll do my little reaction that I always do. But yeah, so Juwan Jennings is out. I'll be interested to see if they have Ronnie Bell. I mean, Kyle Shanahan said that they're still going to have Ronnie Bell at punt returner, but I do wonder if they'll have him maybe come in for certain passing downs more now, because Juwan Jennings, although he's not like a pivotal point of the offense, I feel like every game he does make like a crucial first down or a crucial third down because he's really good at blocking, and because there's so many other weapons for opposing defenses to kind of clue in on, he can kind of get open. So if Kyle Shanahan can scheme up players like maybe a Juszczyk or a Ronnie Bell, I think that would be a very smart game plan. Plus, I think Bell is going to be a better receiver. From what I heard in the offseason, he was actually doing really well in drills. Watching him on punt return really makes me nervous. I don't think he's very good, and he did cause, what was it, Mitch Wosowski, when he did his fake punt, the reason that got called back is because Bell tripped and fell. So that does make me kind of nervous. I feel like it always looks like he's about to fumble, but hopefully as a receiver he does better, and I think he'll get his opportunity this week. Another guy who's going to get his opportunity potentially to play is Javon Hargrave, who has that hamstring injury. He was participating in practice yesterday, and then he was also in practice today. Now, practice today was just a walkthrough, but he is listed as questionable, which means potentially they might have him play. I'm I'm wondering if it's smart to have him play or not, because I know that it would be more helpful to have Hargrave and Kinlaw back to back, because when they're stopping the run, Kinlaw and Givens really do struggle. So maybe having one of the better guys in, but I don't know, with a hamstring injury. I played Pee Wee sports. I ran track until college. I had my fair share of injuries. Now I am a not professional person, and a girl who was probably doing a lot of things wrong, and I don't have all the help of the NFL. So if the 49ers clear him and think he's good to go, I think that's fine. But from everything I've ever experienced with myself and my peers, hamstring injuries are usually 3-week injuries, and they can be really easily re-aggravated, especially, like I said, you're thinking of these huge 300 plus pound guys in a constant tension squat when they're in their stance. The reason the Javon Hargrave is a better player than Kinlaw is because of pad level. That's Kinlaw's main problem. And pad level, all that means is like you're able to just be in a squat at all times while you're pushing the other player back and while you're pushing off. Now, when you're in that stance, you're activating the hell out of your hamstring and then literally utilizing that like torque to catapult you forward. So like the smallest little tweak in my opinion, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. I'd sit Armstead no matter what until the playoffs, and I would sit Hargrave for a minimum of 3 weeks. He's missed one game, so maybe even another game. I know. I guess the thinking is if they can push and they can beat the Ravens, then during week 18 they can kind of take that week off and they'll have, if they solidify that first seed, they're going to have a bye week, which they desperately need, not only for the players that are injured, but I think it was Kyle Posey of Niners Nation put out something. They had 17 missed tackles in the last game. The game before that, they had 12, and the game before that, they had 15. So Fred Warner and Jerry Greenlaw have really struggled with missed tackles. Same thing with the secondary. And the secondary has performed very well, but as the team as a whole has really struggled with those missed tackles. If we go to earlier this year when that was happening, it was before the bye week during that slump. And what were all the players saying? They were saying that they started getting burnt out. They started getting tired. So the 49ers need that bye week to really rest up, not only so all the injured players can hopefully come back with vengeance in the playoffs, but also so all the players that maybe aren't injured enough to be sitting out, but definitely are dealing with their own nicks on the football game that just happened. Oh, Thursday night. On Thursday Night Football, they had George Kittle talk for a little bit. He was one of the speakers that came on the broadcast and spoke, and someone asked him about how he was feeling body-wise, and he said that he has definitely felt better and was struggling. I know that he was also someone who talked about needing that bye week earlier on. So I kind of think for these football guys, every like 5 to 8 weeks, it seems like their battery, whether it's just their mental battery or their physical capability, really gets drained, and any sort of rest is really helping them. So I wonder what you guys think. They could kind of think, okay, screw this Ravens game. Let's kind of not screw it, because they're obviously going to try to win, but let's not try to play guys who are so injured that they could potentially tweak something. Because like I said, if Hargrave goes and he tweaks his hamstring even more, then that hamstring injury, instead of being a 3-week injury, could be a 6-week injury. Or even if it's a 3-week injury after this game, that still would affect him into the first game of the playoffs. But if you're already injured and you tweak it even more, it's probably going to get even worse. So it's going to be an even longer injury. If you're thinking, I know Fred Warner on his podcast talked about feeling beat up. Now, he didn't talk about being beat up enough to not play. But if you think about these guys really pushing in this game to try to win, it's like, okay, then you can rest more week 18. But then you kind of have that dilemma of the difference between rust and rest, because I think 1 week of rest, super vital and super important. 2 weeks of rest, that kind of reminds me of the Aaron Rodgers teams. They used to always try to sit a lot of people during week 18. I think Aaron Rodgers always sat. Wasn't Jordan Love Jordan Love's first game was when Aaron Rodgers was still on the Packers, but he was sitting that Week 18 game to prepare for the playoffs. Well, I'm sorry, the Packers always suck in the playoffs, so I would not want to borrow a strategy from them. Really quickly, I wanted to read some of the comments. Or actually, let me finish with the updates. Besides Hargrave being or questionable, so he could potentially play. I would love to hear your guys' opinions if you guys would push him to play or if it would be smarter to sit him. I'm kind of team sit. Anyone where you could potentially injure yourself even more this close to the playoffs, I think it's more important to preserve health and sit you than to try to push you to go. I understand that maybe pride wise for the 49ers, it might feel good to beat the Ravens because it's both teams on top of their conferences, right? And I think everyone kind of can agree, or at least the narrative is that the AFC is way harder than NFC at the moment. I would agree with that. So for the Ravens to be on top, I feel like even though the 49ers for some reason are favored by 5.5 points, which I think they should be favored by like 3. I feel like that would be because isn't that would mean that they were kind of even on a neutral field. Now, the 49ers do have more stars. I think I saw something that the 49ers have 8 Pro Bowl players and the Ravens have 4. And I don't even know, that might be including some injured guys because I think that includes Mark Andrews. But the 49ers do have more talent, so maybe that's why they are favored by 5.5. I don't necessarily agree. I am going to pick the 49ers to win, but I do think it's going to be a really close game. And I think if it was on the Ravens field, I might pick the Ravens to win, which is why I think that the point spread should be 3 because I think you get 3 points for home field. So I don't think the advantage should be that much. But yeah, I would sit Hargrave, but he is questionable and it does seem like the 49ers are going to play him if he's able, like if it's on the line and he could go, it seems like they might push him to go. I don't know if it's just because morale wise they want to prove to themselves that they are on the same level as the Ravens because even though Vegas has them favored, I think the 49ers might be kind of questioning, okay, we beat up on, these top dogs in our own division, but in all the other divisions, they've also beat up on those teams. So are we actually on the same level as the Ravens? I think this game is going to teach us a lot with that. The last injury update that I had is Elijah Mitchell was also limited. He's limited with a knee. I hope he's fine and that he can play, but I hope that Kyle Shanahan doesn't give him any carries over Jordan Mason. I think Jordan Mason has overwhelmingly earned his spot and earned his ability to get carries in every game that he's been forced to kind of get an opportunity. He has gotten, I think is he still averaging 6 yards a carry? He's either averaging 6 or 5 yards a carry. He's done extremely well with like I said, with every opportunity. And he's hasn't been given that many opportunities. It feels like Kyle Shanahan only gives him the ball when Elijah Mitchell is out. And I don't know. At this point, I feel like it's kind of a favorites game with Kyle Shanahan. I think he just really favors Elijah Mitchell, and I really like Elijah Mitchell. I think he did great his rookie year. I think his story is really good, but when you struggle that much with injury and there's someone that good behind you who's younger, I know a lot of people said he struggled with pass protection. You would hope by now in year 2, almost, this season's almost over, so it's going to be year 3 for him in a couple months. You'd hope that the pass protection would be something that people sat down and really taught him by now. And if he's not learning it, then then maybe Kyle Shanahan maybe wouldn't come out and say that, but that would make a lot of sense for why Kyle Shanahan was kind of putting him in the doghouse, because if that's the only thing keeping you from getting the ball, I think it's Deebo Samuel has always said like no block, no rock or whatever. We all know the story of Brandon Ayuk got put in the doghouse for not doing his job outside of catching the ball. I think it's the same thing with the running backs, but just instead of catching the ball, it's carrying the ball. If you want to carry the ball, you better be doing good at all of your other assignments as well. But yeah, so Elijah Mitchell should be good to go. I wanted to read some comments. Someone said, Merry Christmas, everyone. So I hope everyone's having a really good holiday. Thank you guys. I'm really grateful for everyone in here joining me. I know that it is Christmas. I'm might be doing a show tomorrow depending on her plans. Steph and I decided that we would probably do a show tomorrow instead of Monday, since Monday will be Christmas. Like I said, I'm still going to be reacting, so make sure to like and subscribe. OG 49er says, "Hey, how's it going? I'm very pumped for the game Monday. Let's go." I'm really, really pumped for this game too. I think it's been. I was reading something from an article that was posted on SI by Tom Jensen, who's been. I really love his articles. He was saying it's the first time in 30 years that two teams at the top of their conference have faced off. So that's really cool. I think some of these primetime games have been a bit of a doozy, and some of that isn't everyone's fault. There's been so many backup quarterbacks, a lot of injuries that have happened this year, but the NFL really hit it out of the park with having with choosing this game. Obviously, I think everyone expected the 49ers to do good, and the Ravens are always pretty good, but it's turned out in my opinion, I think it's going to be a great Christmas game. Has the opportunity to be a Super Bowl preview. We could definitely see the 49ers winning their division and getting all the way to the Super Bowl, and I could see the Ravens doing the same. I'd be curious if you guys think that the Ravens are the top dog in the AFC right now. I guess the Chiefs, in my opinion, as 49er fans, we can never count them out because we haven't been in a game with them yet where they haven't looked like they could destroy us, no matter how many receivers are dropping passes or how much Patrick Mahomes might be struggling compared to how well he's normally doing. I just feel like you can't doubt the Chiefs. I think if the Bills get into the playoffs, they could be a huge problem for the 49ers. But yeah, right now, just based off of record and the physicality of both teams, that's something that I think is kind of underrated. Like, I feel like in the olden days, I was just at dinner with my dad, and he was kind of talking about how before it was never an option to not be a physical football team. Like, that was just baseline. You had to be physical. But I think with all the rule changes and everything now, building yourself a physical football team, like if we think about the Cowboys, they're much more of like a flashy team than a physical team. And that, I mean, I'm not even trying to diss them because when they face the Niners, they suck. But when they face a lot of teams, they're considered a really good team for a reason, Same thing with the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, that speed element could potentially really challenge the 49ers, and it definitely challenges other teams in the league, but I don't think of them as like a really physical team. And when you think of the Ravens, I feel like the Ravens have the same gritty type of defense that the Browns had, and the 49ers lost to the Browns. And the Ravens, in my opinion, have a way better offense than the Browns right now. I know that they're doing okay with their backup quarterback, and when Watson was in, he wasn't very good either. But no matter what, the Browns offense has been struggling in a way that I don't feel like the Ravens offense is, even though the Ravens are also missing weapons. I think the Lamar Jackson element of it all, like when we're talking about league MVPs, I think one of the reasons that Lamar Jackson should get, at least be in that conversation is if you think about taking him off the Ravens, do you think that the Ravens team is even a playoff team? Like, he is their leading rusher. He's the reason that they're scoring touchdowns. He's the reason that they are moving the ball. Obviously, his defense has helped him a lot, and they've definitely kept their offense in games where they've been struggling. But there's been a few games where their defense has given up more than 30 points, and literally solely because of Lamar Jackson, they've been able to win those games. Or when the 49ers are in those positions, at least they have a bevy of weapons to kind of rely on. So I do think it could be a Super Bowl preview. I think there's some other teams that could definitely end up being in that race. I would also love to know, out of the AFC, which team are you guys most scared to play? If you saw that Rams game, I think the Rams could be tough. I think it was Rich Madrid said that they kind of had a 2021 49ers type of feel to them. They're a little bit of a younger team, but they have a lot of grit. They have some good players that maybe don't have the name power right now, but every game Matthew Stafford has a throw that it's an MVP level throw. Like, he definitely, I know he's really struggled with his elbow and with his arm, and he's definitely getting older, but it does seem like if he needs to make a play. Sometimes he'll throw an interception, but sometimes he'll make like an incredibly beautiful pass that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you still have that in you. That's crazy. And I feel like 49er fans shouldn't be able to criticize the Rams too much because they did keep the 49ers from getting into the Super Bowl. And I would be kind of scared too, maybe not scared, but I think that they could at least provide a challenge. Um, on offense, the Lions have a little bit of spunk to them, but the Lions are, I think, 21st. If not, they might even be lower. The last time I checked, which was, I think, 2 weeks ago, they were 21st in defense. So their defense has been sucking, which really sucks. I know Emmanuel Mosley, they got him from the 49ers, and he was supposed to be a cornerback from them. They're also missing, who was the guy? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He was calling out Deebo Samuel. He was supposed to be good for the Lions, and he's out as well. Which, why was he talking when he's injured too? Can you believe that? That was earlier this season where Gardner-Johnson was kind of saying that Deebo was a decoy and all that. Like, that was earlier this season, and Deebo has really turned it around within the last couple of weeks. Good for him. I'm glad that he's showing up. I do feel like when the 49ers have Deebo Samuel playing the way he has since the Eagles game and has a healthy Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy distributing the ball the way that he has, I feel like the 49ers, I mean, they should win. It's going to be such a disappointment if they don't win a Super Bowl. It does feel like this is really their opportunity. Because the league is down. The league is down right now. But I'm going to look at some more comments really quick. Someone asked if we signed a D lineman. We did, but he was signed to the practice squad. So I don't think you're going to see him in this game coming up. And then my dad, I was just at dinner with him. Hi, Dad. Merry Christmas. I mean, this is kind of such a silly stream because it was so last minute. I brought these in here so I could show them off, but I don't know how this will work with my computer without like knocking them over. Can I do this? Watch me do this. If I break my computer. Okay. Look at, I should do each individual. Do you see how I already broke something? I'm showing off that my dad made me gifts instead of talking about football. And by gifts, I mean food. We're taking a small detour. What did my dad say that made me think about this? Did he say anything about food? This is a chocolate muffin or chocolate cake. I think these are adorable. I told my dad I already ate one of these literally the second my dad left. Look, it's like a little snow cone, pine cone. Isn't that really cute? I'm probably not going to go through all of these because I just realized that will take a really long time. This is another delicious looking like cookie type cake. There's like 4 more in there, but I'm not gonna. I should have done a taste test on here. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I've already eaten a bunch of them, and he literally just left. Like, we just went to dinner, and then I came in here, and in the time that he has driven home, I've already eaten a bunch of these. These are like little. Look, he even got these. Like, look at how professional this looks. He made this at home. These are little Reese's. This is some other chocolate thing. I love chocolate. I swear I'm gonna get back to football soon. This is like nut clusters with like honey and chocolate. These are like peanut butter and cherries and chocolate. I'm getting this all over my fingers and then I'm gonna want to eat it again. Okay, I have one more and then I'm gonna be done and then we'll get back to football. I know all you guys are really excited about this information. Okay, I feel like I can't take these out without them falling over, but look, I know from this very bad angle that you can tell that these look fantastic and delicious. Look at that frosting and how good it is. So someone just opened my door. Oh, they let the cat out. I really wanted that cat to be a part. There's probably people who are joined and they don't even know what I'm talking about because my cat was on here for 3 seconds before jumping off my lap. When I went on Sour Death Sam from Twitter, if you guys know who I'm talking about, I went on his show and my cat was on the whole time. They never want to be on just for me. Anyways, my dad made those. They're all vegan and gluten-free because I am vegan and gluten-free. Isn't that really nice? But besides the 100 million grams of sugar that I'm going to be consuming in the next 3 days, my dad said, get the win, take the bye week. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't have to win this Ravens game to get the bye week. They just have to win one of the next 3 games. No, they have to win 2 of the next 3 games, right? So I can understand not wanting to like put that pressure on you, but to me, no matter what, they're probably going to beat Washington. That would be very surprising. And if they beat the Ravens, then the week 18 against the Rams isn't going to be a huge deal. They could rest guys, but that's when you're kind of dealing with the rust versus rest that I was talking about. You don't want to rest too much. But I can see something where maybe they play the first half. I mean, the 49ers kind of already do this with teams that they're dominating where they sit the third quarter. That's why when people say that 49ers are in the bottom half or the bottom 20, I think, of passing, you have to consider how are they, like, how much do they pass in the first 3 quarters, because they're the reason that they're lower in passing. I mean, they do run the ball quite a bit, but it's because they're literally not running the ball the last 2 series normally, because normally Sam Darnold is in and Kyle Shanahan is just running the clock out because they're winning by so much. So but I agree. I mean, you need to get the win. And I do think morale wise, it might hurt the 49ers to lose to the Ravens, because then what if they meet the Ravens again in a neutral field or on the well, I guess the only way they would meet them again would be in the Super Bowl. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of feel like maybe the 49ers might get in their head where they're like, oh, okay, well, we faced them on our field and we couldn't win. How are we supposed to beat them in the Super Bowl? So I could see, just mentally wise, not needing, but wanting to prove to yourself that you could beat the Ravens. I just also think that if you have to push anyone who could potentially get injured in the playoffs, that is something you should not do. I just realized this door isn't shut. Man, this stream is just really all over the place. My computer's kind of crooked now because I showed you guys those cakes. I was really just supposed to do one with Rohan. And something came up. Okay. When it comes to Hargrave, I trust the medical staff and the player. If he's good to go, he's good to go. If not, keep healing up. I agree. And he's questionable. Probably something that they won't tell us tomorrow. Probably will be a game time decision. But yeah, I would lean on the side of caution. The only reason I wouldn't say, because Tony D said, trust the medical staff and the player, is the player's always going to want to go. Christian McCaffrey has been calling his own shot and kind of, really running himself into the ground and not wanting Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason to take any of his touchdowns, any of his runs, because these players get in their heads. They want to. Javon Hargrave was just, given a contract. He wants to live up to that. Christian McCaffrey wants to win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. So you can't always rely on what the players say, because if they're the right type of player, they usually will push themselves even when they're injured. So that's one of the jobs of a coach, is to be the guy who can kind of step in and say, hey, I'm gonna make a decision, and I'm not gonna let you jeopardize yourself for this one game, because I'm trying to see this in totality as the whole, and it's more important that you're here for a Super Bowl run. And we're just not there yet. The 49ers need to get there. They don't need more injuries before getting there. We have has our problems. Bowen Brown. We have had problems in division, except for with the Steelers. Am I dumb? Outside of we've struggled against the AFC except for against the Steelers. I think that's what you're trying to say. I agree, and the Steelers aren't very good. I feel like some people for a little while tried to say that was a good win, but I just don't think that that's a very good team right now. I don't know. I wasn't super impressed with the Steelers. I went to Pittsburgh, and I didn't think that they were very impressive. Even TJ Watt didn't completely go off in that game. I thought the 49ers way outmatched them. Like, when you were just watching both teams, it felt like the 49ers were a different class. To be honest, I felt like, because that was the first game of the season, right? So in the off season, people were kind of hyping up the Steelers, and I remember leaving that game feeling very disappointed and being like, I don't think the Steelers are going to do that good, and the Steelers did not do that good. Go Ravens 8. Hey, Ravens fan in the chat, thanks for joining. You seem nice. 8 is Lamar Jackson. right? Go him. I don't know. I don't have a problem with him. I go 49ers. I hope we win. It would suck to not win on Christmas. I feel like that's going to ruin some people's Christmas. Rams have had success against the Ravens. I agree. I know that they have. That makes me think that the 49ers will win. I'm going to pick the 49ers to win. I just think it'll be a good game. I hope it's a good game. I also wouldn't be mad if the 49ers blew them out. It would suck if the Ravens just blew out the 49ers. Like if everyone was expecting it to be a close game and the Ravens just like somehow destroyed the 49ers. But I just don't even feel like that's possible right now. I feel like the only way that the 49ers team won't win right now is if they beat themselves. Because they score a touchdown on every possession that they don't have a penalty on first down. Every penalty that they have had a first down on, aside from last week when they overcame a couple setbacks, they don't score. And then every penalty that they have a successful first down, they score a touchdown. They score more touchdowns than they do kick punts. Like this offense is rolling. And I know that this 49er team, I'm going to predict it to be a little bit of a lower scoring game, but I think it should be competitive. DB Disciple, from my standpoint, we need to beat the Ravens from a morale viewpoint. Ever since they got away with that one Super Bowl game, so beating them will be big. I agree. Now, the one thing is, a lot of these players are younger. They don't know about that Super Bowl. Like, I just don't feel like back in the day, I think the history really mattered. That's one reason I do really appreciate George Kittle. I think some people get kind of down on him for his antics, but he's really taught. Like I loved his like kind of F Dallas t-shirt because I feel and I remember him going on, I think it was Rich Eisen or it was Bussin' with the Boys or maybe he went on both, and he really talked up the 49ers Dallas rivalry and how important that was, and he talked about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan showing rookie players old games and really trying to instill that rivalry in them. And I think there is something about football where the competition and the rivalry and the history is like a really beautiful, important part of the game. And I do think a lot of these players don't really, that stuff doesn't matter to them as much because so many players don't stick with one team their whole career. They're constantly moving throughout the NFL. So I don't think like for fans, like we can really hate the Dallas Cowboys or for me growing up, because I'm a little bit younger, I always saw the Seahawks as a huge competition because I grew up like my pivotal watching football years as a younger slash high schooler was when Russell Wilson was completely dominating in the Legion of Boom. I've told the story before, but I had a boyfriend in high school who his favorite team was the Seahawks, and mine was the Niners, and they were always like he'd be like, this was when he's why am I blanking? Richard Sherman. This was when Richard Sherman was on the Seahawks, and they did, it was just can you imagine? Can you imagine you during those years when the Seahawks just kill the 49ers every single game that you and your friend are like going back and forth? It was so unfair. They always won. When I was learning, I taught I taught spin. This was me describing spin. So like biking spin classes. I taught spin classes in college, and my favorite spin instructor, Michelle, I should send her this. She would love this. I haven't talked to her in a year or two. She just ran. I do follow her on Instagram. She like broke her hip and then like less than a year later ran like 100-mile marathon thing. She's crazy. So she's so impressive. But she taught me, and she also taught my favorite spin class. And she was also a Seahawks fan. And I remember they won. Like the 49ers and the Seahawks played against each other. And this was during the Russell Wilson era. And but this wasn't even, I mean, I was talking about in high school. This was like 3 years ago. Like the Seahawks have just, it's so weird because now that they have Geno Smith, they don't even feel like it doesn't feel like a scary matchup anymore. But those Russell Wilson years, man, they won every time. She like wore a Russell Wilson jersey to the spin class after the game, and she had like a hat that she made me wear that was a Seahawks hat. It was a whole thing because I bet on the 49ers to win, and Russell Wilson just broke my heart every time. I forget what I was saying. I really like rivalries. I think that they're a fun part of the game. I think people that poo-poo, some people are like, they kind of poo-poo fans who get really into things, or like even in the game, I like to be really dramatic. Like if the 49ers suck in the beginning, I'm like, burn it all down, fire everyone. And then if they're good by the end, I'm like, woo, like 49ers are the best team in the NFL. And sometimes I'll get people who kind of like comment and they're like, you should wait to react. And I'm like, the whole fun of it is to kind of like, it's like a roller coaster, you know? I don't know. Anyways, might have gone on a couple tangents there. This guy says, nice dad, yummy gifts. He's the best dad. Um, there's no sugar in any of that. That's not true. There's a lot of chocolate in that. There's sugar. It's not terrible for you because it is gluten-free, but there is definitely sugar in there. But I really appreciate it, Daddy. That was really nice of you. Jackson has already won MVP in 2019. The Ravens got knocked out of their first game in the playoffs. Niners, 31-17. Ooh. So maybe I'll just give my prediction now. I'm going to choose, I was thinking 27-24 49ers. I do agree. I think that that's an interesting, hopefully Steph and I do a show tomorrow because I'm going to ask her, who do you think the better coach is, Kyle Shanahan or Harbaugh? I think maybe you have to give it to Harbaugh because he's won a Super Bowl. But then if you think about the last 7 years, how long has it been since the Ravens have even gone past the first round in the playoffs? It's been forever, right? I think wasn't that the only year that they've even been to the playoffs? Am I really wrong? Maybe I'm being stupid. I feel like the Ravens have not gone far in the playoffs for years. And Kyle Shanahan always getting to the NFC Championship game. I don't know. I think that there's a case that Kyle Shanahan today is coaching like a better coach. But maybe if you're looking at their overall history, you have to give it to Harbaugh because he does have the ring. And obviously that's the most important. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Who's the better coach? I'd love to ask Steph this. I'll definitely ask her tomorrow if we end up doing that show. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Don't worry, I can't pronounce anyone's name literally ever, but he says evening. Good evening. Barely catching on to you. Good job. Thank you so much. That was really nice. Let's go. I'm not going to say the middle part, but Niners, Cocoa Puff, love your name. Ravens will get blown out. Rams can give the Ravens 31. Okay, people are not like, look, this 30, 38, 24 Niners. I said 20, 27, 24. Ravens haven't seen an animal like the Niners yet, but but what about the Niners? What's the best team that the 49ers have faced? The Eagles? The Eagles suck right now. I think the 49ers kind of broke them. But I don't know. Dallas was good. Is good sometimes. Dallas isn't good against the 49ers ever, I feel like. 31-24 Niners. Even sorry Jimmy G. Even sorry Jimmy G only lose 3 points to the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. Great knowledge. Sub for me. Thank you so much for subscribing, Raven. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Like I said, this was going to be a little bit of a shorter show. Somehow it's already been 45 minutes because I can just talk about nothing forever. But yeah, mainly I wanted to give those practice updates just to summarize since I've been talking for so long. Hargrave and Elijah Mitchell are questionable, so they both have a chance. I personally would, if I did clear Mitchell to go, I would keep him behind Jordan Mason. I think Jordan Mason has earned the backup to Christian McCaffrey, and I would sit Hargrave, but I think that they'll play Hargrave. I think this is a really good running team, and I think that they probably do not trust Javon Kinlaw and Givens, who are both not very good against the run. So I think they'd rather have Kinlaw go at least with Hargrave. So I think that they'll probably push Hargrave if it's one of those things where he could go but also could sit. I personally wouldn't. I would sit him. And then rolled out completely is Eric Armstead with the plantar fasciitis, which is scary. I would literally sit him into the playoffs. I wouldn't even every single week Nope, sitting, 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 and then just have him gut through it in the playoffs. And then who was the other guy? Oh, Juwan Jennings. Hopefully, with the concussion protocol, he'll be good for Washington, but he is ruled out with that concussion. Concussions are really scary. I hope he's doing okay. Like I said, he has to at least be. I think he's probably in the second step because the third step of the program is working off to the side, and reporters didn't report seeing him at all at any of the practices, not even working to the side. So hopefully he's doing okay. That definitely feels like it's not a minor concussion because, like I said, he had an extended week and still wasn't practicing at all. But hopefully he'll be okay for Washington and heals up. Um, Concussions are scary, man. Those things suck. I hate just having a headache, let alone a concussion. Couple last comments. Every time I say it's gonna be a close game, and you'll know what happens. So it's gonna be a close game. I like that. I like that. Always put your expectations a little bit low. Have them completely um, oversee them, outmatch them. Don't worry. You'd think that for being someone who talks so much, I would have more vocabulary, but I'll get there. One stream at a time. 30, 37. 37. I also don't know how to read. 31, 17, 49ers. Like I said, my prediction is that the 49ers are going to win. I think it's going to be 27-24. Those are the injury updates. Just in case I end up not streaming with Steph, I'm going to say a couple of my over-unders just because I think that this is always a fun thing just to reflect upon. I think that Brock Purdy will not throw an interception. I think Lamar Jackson might throw an interception. Tarvarius Ward, he called his shot, and then he's been trying to make some good ones. Now, the one good thing is Deommodore Lenoir has been out practicing, and he suffered an injury, so he seems totally good to go. Christian McCaffrey, Debo, George Kittle, Jennings is out, so not Jennings. Use check. That's 5 touchdowns at least. Jennings is out. Are you not? You're not even watching. I said that like 400 times. Jennings is out. I agree. I think Christian McCaffrey will get a touchdown. Deebo Samuel has been getting 2 touchdowns for the last 3 games, so maybe he'll get a touchdown. The Ravens do pretty good at limiting tight ends, so I don't think this is going to be a big George Kittle game. I could see him watch George Kittle completely go off now because I said that. But if my money was betting on it, I don't think that George Kittle will have a huge game. Brandon Ayuk against Kyle Hamilton, they have a good. I mean, he is a really good. Does everyone kind of think that they tanked his draft status? Because Kyle Hamilton had so much hype going into the draft, and then it tanked when everyone said he was slow, and then the Ravens got him. And I kind of feel like maybe the Ravens tanked him so that they could get him lower in the draft. Because he was originally supposed to go like in the top 5, and I think he ended up. When was he drafted? He was drafted like 12 or 8, right? Watch me do this on stream. Kyle Hamilton. I see people sometimes be really smooth about this. Hamilton. Stats? No. I think you just have to talk while you're doing it. Ravens. And then draft. Look at me. 14. He went 14th. That's crazy. He was supposed to go top 5. And then everyone just decided he was slow. And he's had a great he's doing incredible. Like he could have got if he would have been drafted top 5, no one would have said that was a bad pick. Like he is playing incredible football right now. So it'll be interesting to see what BA does against him. I think this will probably be more of a Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel game. And then a Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk had a rough game. Had a rough game last week. Did not have that many catches. Did not have a touchdown. Did have some critical drops, but that's very not typical for him. Him and Purdy do have an excellent connection, and he doesn't usually have 2 bad games in a row. So maybe me saying this is all wrong. He's actually just going to go off because it does seem to be like they change which player goes off every game. I don't play fantasy football, but I had a friend who did, and they always said that they would never take a 49ers receiver because the 49ers, like 1 week, Brandon Ayuk's going to go off. The next week, Deebo Samuel's going to go off. The next week, it's going to be George Kittle. Like, it's never just one guy where most teams, like if you pick the Rams and you just did Cooper Kupp every game, he's the one guy, So Coco Puff says that we're gonna get a pick six on defense. I could see an interception. I don't know about a pick six. Lamar Jackson, is he really he has as many interceptions as Brock Purdy. They both have done a pretty good job at taking care of the football this year. And then the score will be 40-20, 49ers win. Well, hopefully that happens because not only do they then get to rest guys during week 18, but they're also going to take their own guys out. Like, I don't even think this will happen because I think if they get, a 15-point lead, they might start resting their guys. But thank you guys so much for joining. I had a really good time. Last comment. I see a fumble, but no interception. Niner Empire. I could see that. I could see a fumble. Two really good defenses. 49ers have a really great offense. Lamar Jackson is really great for the Ravens. I hope it'll be a really fun game. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, I think Steph Sanchez and I are going to be doing a show tomorrow. If not, I'll definitely be back on with at least my instant reaction to the game and then potentially a instant reaction with Rohan. I would love your guys' opinions. Would you guys rather see like a shorter instant reaction for me, or because normally I don't go live after the games. I normally go live in the morning with Eric Crocker and then later on in my show. But Rohan and I were talking about doing a full hour live stream. So let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing a live stream after the game. I know it's going to be Christmas, so I don't know how many people are going to be watching that, but let me know what you guys prefer. Definitely like and subscribe because I'll either have a video out or I'll definitely have a video out tomorrow, but I might have one out with Steph, and then I'll definitely have one on Christmas reacting to the game and for the rest of the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I had a really good time doing this. I always get kind of nervous for these solo shows, and then they end up being a lot of fun. So I loved it.